Hi everyone and welcome back. I hope you're doing really well. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about the full moon in Libra happening on April 16th, 2022. I felt motivated to come on and talk about this full moon because it's a very expansive psychic time, being that we are having the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in Pisces, and it's still exact as I'm filming this for you. So it makes for a nice atmosphere or environment to get some good messages. So I've been trying to make some extra space for filming and, brainstorming a lot. I've actually been brainstorming quite a few videos to make over the summer. And I'm like, yeah, this is a great period of time to kind of think creatively and think about content and things like that. And just a quick moment of gratitude to you all. The Jupiter-Neptune video seems to have done quite well. Thank you so much for the positive feedback and all forms of feedback on that video. If you haven't had the chance yet to check out the Jupiter-Neptune conjunct in Pisces video, definitely check it out. I'll link it below and in the top right-hand corner of this video because we are going through that transit exactly right now. And I'll also link below the 2022 year ahead forecast because it goes into it a little bit as well. It is a complex transit. It's a very karmic time. This time that we're going through right here in April has a lot of implication over our long term. Therefore, here I am yet again to make a full moon in Libra video. So what does the full moon in Libra of 2022 mean? Let's dive right into this content. Interestingly, it's not aspecting that much by major angle, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it, because I think that this is a period of time here around April 16th and for the remaining waning moon cycle all the way until about the 1st of May. It's a good chance to see through things, okay? It's a good chance to kind of be separate or be detached from something enough to make a judgment call or to really come to a balanced conclusion. So typically, full moon in Libra is about emotionally understanding a decision that needs to be made. It's about finally having enough data or enough logical insight and processing that, then having both an emotional and logical conclusion. Okay, so that's to me how I interpret full moon in Libra. And in the context of the other placements, I think that April 16th, especially through April 20th, during that window of time, there's going to be a very kind of separate conclusion that we can make. It's very hard to see past the emotional habits right now with the Jupiter and Neptune conjunct. Also, it can be hard to process everything because I feel that everybody's life or everybody's experience has become so multidimensional or so multifaceted, at least, that it's like they feel as if they can solve like one issue on one plane, but they can't really get it on all the planes. So for example, having a multitude of things you have to face right now, maybe having to like change career, maybe having to like move, maybe having to, or even if it's not anything like that, like just seeing that there are multiple areas of one's life that need attention or need some type of logical conclusion. This is going to be a time to do that, and this is going to be a time to really process and take a pragmatic stance, which seems challenging right now. There's a big challenge towards pragmatism with the other transits that we're having, though Saturn in Aquarius also indicates this. So there is a little bit of a battle. We have Saturn at exact semi-sextile to Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces, which is exactly sextile, and then of course quincunx to this full moon. So we have a sort of kink or conflict zone here. So I'm definitely thinking that certain global events might have a new level of conflict, or it's just impossible seeming to really reach a resolution because of this multifaceted net of problems. Multifaceted net of problems is something that I think everybody is facing, both individually and collectively. And because of this, what does it mean? What does this sort of conflict at a multi-level place mean energetically? Why are we there? What is the significance of going through something like that? To me, it is sort of a ramification or a consequence of procrastination. It's a consequence also of some type of overdevelopment, or specifically being too taxed. Okay, so having too many things to face at once, and even signing up or committing to certain realities where we knew it would be like that. And perhaps there was a glamour, especially in 2021, okay, about being in a sort of Goliath or even Atlas type of situation where we're really carrying the world on our shoulders. And that becomes unglamorous, I think, with this transit, as we start to see that the ripple effect of perhaps all of these different lives that we're leading, or the ripple effect of all of these different undertakings or commitments combining together, creating a certain alchemy. It's not maybe the right alchemy, okay? And that's one possibility. And I'm going to tap into that before I talk about the other possibility. What I feel with the comprehensive astrology happening right now with these semi-sextiles, Pluto in Capricorn, Saturn in Aquarius, this big Pisces stellium, Aries placements, Taurus placements, it's like a recipe that doesn't turn out that well, or it's like a mixture of ingredients that are not that complementary with all of these semi-sextiles. So, mixing together weird ingredients like olive oil and milk. It's like kind of a weird combination of ingredients that is very obviously not so combinable, but nonetheless, we do have a combination here. So how this is channeling in its more difficult expression would be shown as a kind of bad taste, or kind of, unpalatable, or not super enjoyable turnouts to certain things. So this is a really, really wonderful time to wake up and see that, if that is what's happening, and to have a change in ingredients for a lot of people. This can be at the most basic level, like check out what you're eating. Like, think about, what you've eaten over the last week. How are those different foods combining? And what is the greater alchemical effect on the body? And then also, what ingredients are you cooking with? It's a great time to think about sourcing, and it's a wonderful time also to make judgments. So for some people, this would be a beautiful opportunity here, full moon in Libra, because it's detaching us, because it's not connecting to any of these big transit Saturn, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Neptune, Pluto. It's not connecting to them super strong. It does to Pluto a little bit, but those other ones, it's by an angle that is not very connective. So what that means is that those difficult ingredients, or those difficult sources, can really be seen for what they are, because we're not so tapped into them, or we're not so connected to them. It's like we disconnect from them, and we can see them acting from an almost like third person view. And we can start to make alterations, or we can start to decide whether we're satisfied, or whether we want to have a change of a certain ingredient. So it's a wonderful time for taking stock. And I think what I'm actually getting here is a very specific word. It's like a staining. Okay, there might be a staining effect with this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. And I think that would be very visible during this time too. Like, if there's an overall kind of like decrease in pristineness of a situation that you're involved in. This can be very physical, or this can be more of like a general feeling. Like, I'm seeing a lot of people, okay, in odd contexts, okay? So they're stuck between two worlds. They're perhaps in areas, or facing face-to-face with professionals or people that are not complementary ingredients to them, okay? And I understand that as I'm saying this, this can, for some people, be like, that sounds discouraging, or that sounds like, what am I ever going to do about that? Well, we have to kind of figure it out here. There's a few options. So one option is self-transformation and becoming more complementary to the group. Or the other option is to, instead of becoming more complementary to the group, finding another group, or kind of shifting or adjusting who you're facing. So who one is facing with this full moon in Libra. Big thing to check out. I'm noticing this also in my own experience, where it's like, I don't know, for some reason, like here on YouTube, I just am fitting into the most incredible groups. Like, I'm so blessed and so incredibly abundant to see that, wow, it's like the most perfect, wonderful people come to my channel, and it is such a blessing. But then in my real life, I sometimes find myself like not really facing people in that way at all. So there's been that disconnect for me. And then, we have this with the previous few years cycle. I'm sure that everybody's going through that in some way in their lives, where you have these some situations or some aspects of your life that are just like really, really perfect and really make sense and really harmonize. And then you have other aspects of your life that are like contradictory or conflicting in some way. It is really just a part of the human experience, especially during this time. But that's the type of thing that's going to be coming up with this moon. And the balancing process, to me, the sign of Libra, is about measurements. It's about data. It's about taking stock. Again, it's like the scales, right? Like it's weighing something. It's the purpose of that archetype is to show like, okay, we've put two ingredients or two materials onto the scales, and we're going to learn more about these ingredients or learn more about what they are by the result that we see on the scales, which one's heavier than the other. So that could be a great way to work with this energy as well, because the moon is about emotions. It's about healing the emotional body. So maybe we need to measure some of our experiences and decide, okay, so in this modality of my life, I feel this heaviness. And then in this modality, I feel this heaviness. Which one is lighter? Maybe that's the one that I choose. So we have a great opportunity here to measure and to emotionally process that measurement, okay? So I'm hoping that you all also have had the chance by now to start to budget differently, or to start to, whether it's time, money, or energy, and to start to feel a little bit more confident about what it is that you have and what it is that you are holding in your experience, because this full moon will be the first kind of mile marker of that. So for those of us who maybe since like January of 2022 have already been like cutting back, or have already kind of been rebudgeting, rebalancing our lives, this full moon in Libra is going to show us the first results. So realizing that the diet is working, because, for 5 or 6 months we've been consistent, we're seeing that result on the scale now, okay? Realizing that, wow, that new budget is working, we're seeing that result in the account now, okay? Realizing that program of study is wrapping up, we're seeing those results in the transcripts now. There's a definite measuring coming up here, and it's going to be so good for some people, but it's going to be especially good for people who can totally zoom out of any of these weird collective issues and just see the world from a pretty objective, neutral state. I do feel there's an important quest for objectivity here, and it's hard because of this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in Pisces. It's hard to be objective. It's hard not to fall into a societal dogmatic construct. It's hard not to also be biased to our own experience in a way that leads us not to really understand it, or not to really see the moral of what we're going through. We can't get past, for many of us, perhaps the feeling of our experience. We can't maybe look at it objectively very easily. I mean, it's going to be foggy. It's not going to be super clear for a lot of people with the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. But with the full moon in Libra, just during this short window of time, there's more clarity and there's more ability to do it. So that's my main purpose for coming on today, is like take advantage of this time, this April 16th through April 20th, to get those measurements, to collect that data, essentially, and to start to rebalance, because why else is it a big deal, okay? Because something about the stock taking that we do right now, or about the, comprehensive measurement that we take of our own experience, is going to give us a little bit of a window into the next few years, because the South Node will be moving into Libra in July of 2023, and this full moon in Libra will be one of two that we have before then. And because of that, it's going to kind of illuminate what might be happening then for some people. So it would be really important to observe synchronicities from April 16th until April 20th, because it could be forecasting or foreshadowing, the general momentum that we might see for ourselves leading up over the next 2 or 3 years, okay? I really think that this particular full moon in Libra is a powerful one, just because of that. It's kind of foreshadowing the next nodal axis, and because of it being so detached from specifically the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, it almost is outside of that fogginess or that confusion for some people. So it's kind of a double positive in that way, where we have on one hand a foreshadowing and then also a giving of data or measurement. So it's a great time for like a third eye ritual. All right. Having a third eye opening during this full moon, a third eye opening meditation or ritual, or perhaps eating like foods or doing a bit of your own research about a healthy third eye. I would definitely recommend that, because I think that a lot of people don't have a clue. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that we can all kind of resonate with like, I have no clue exactly where things are going or how I'm going to bring all this stuff together or how I'm going to move forward in the future. And that's okay. But as it pertains to the current, present path that we're on, that might be a good thing to be paying attention to and to be looking at without rose-colored glasses or without a biased or dogmatic lens, okay? And this full moon in Libra will be more facilitating of that, okay? In the next lunar cycle, where we have a new moon in Taurus and full moon in Scorpio, that's going to be also possible, but not quite. It's going to really tie into purpose, okay? Because it's going to, be all over the current nodal axis, and it's going to be really positively connecting to Jupiter, Neptune. So that's where we're going to get gifts and rewards for our confidence, for our spiritual connection to our path. And that's where we can almost, benefit from rose-colored glasses or a sense of empowerment on our path, because we understand the data and we understand our commitments and we understand why we're there. But those three things have to be generated here during this moon in order for the next moon cycle to not be traumatic for some people, or even just unrealistic, okay, or too heavy. Okay, there is a heaviness, and I want to bring this up for you all as well in this video. Heaviness, okay? This is what the archetype of Libra is for. It's to measure heaviness. It's to alert us to heaviness. And the full moon in Libra every year here during close to the astrological new year, while we have Aries season, shows us that contrasting lightness to really, alert us that there's a heaviness present. So really watch out for suppressing that, repressing a feeling of heaviness. This can be very physical from like the body. It's a very easy time to be putting on extra pounds right now. And for some people that means different things than others, but it's going to be probably comprehensive throughout the experience. So I think that it would look like weight gain. I think it would look like a heavy heart. I think it would look like inability to sleep, inability to wake up. Also, any type of health problems that deal with constriction or pressure or heaviness, okay, are likely. This is part of North Node in Taurus. This is also, Pluto about to go retrograde in Capricorn. There's a lot of heaviness, having Jupiter, Neptune, and Pisces also is very heavy. Do you know why? Because it's like water weight. It's like deep, like the pressure of the ocean. When you dive really deep, there's like the water pressure, and then South Node in Scorpio, we are actually in a very heavy time. And that's why it's so good to make things as light as possible in that context and have some type of alchemy. Right? When you're like diving deep, you need like the scuba gear, and it like equalizes. And I don't know how that works. I'm not a scuba diver, but there is like technology, and there's also ways that humanity has innovated to overcome certain heavinesses. And I feel like those would be important right now. So why not take advantage of anything in your life or anything available to you? Ooh, guys, I'm getting some nice third eye energy here. Actually, ooh, it just came in. So beautiful. It's like, seeing the things that are right there in your experience that could make it lighter or could make it easier, automating certain things, cutting off certain unnecessary experiences, expenses, anything like that, to lighten your load a little bit and make you easier to transcend, easier to pass, easier to come to the surface. And for those of us who are perhaps even at a breaking point or turning point, I would almost rather call it, but things have gotten so heavy or so confusing or so muddled, because this is possible right now, so confusing that we don't really see how things come together, or we don't understand how we get from point A to point B, okay? The first step with that is going to be opening to a potential resolution. So I would recommend even getting old-fashioned with this. I'm talking long meditations, third eye chakra opening meditations, 30 minutes at the least, maybe. And then for some of you, even upwards of an hour or two. And meditation looks different for everybody. You don't have to do it in a stereotypical way unless you enjoy that, or unless you enjoy that very traditional kind of monastic meditation style. But I got to be really clear with you guys. I've been hinting on this. I need to make a full video about this topic alone. But I'm seeing a mass third eye crisis at the chakra level. I'm seeing for some, it's on extremes on both sides. For some people, it's so underactive, and for some people, it's so overactive, which is a similar result either way, with slight variations. But in my experience, whether the third eye is underactive or overactive, it usually leads to a complete kind of frenetic, manic energy that cannot really see the path through, or cannot adhere to any specific path, or cannot kind of track or map or discern the way through a certain experience. So if you have to kind of imagine, with the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, we're all kind of steering ships out in the middle of sea, all right? And I'm seeing a lot of people going in circles. I'm seeing a lot of people not thinking about what it means to be in that type of situation. At sea, there aren't roads, right? So when we're driving our cars, we have roads, and the roads will take us somewhere no matter what. We don't have to think so much about navigating, but, certainly, we have Google Maps now as well, which really messes up our third eyes, honestly, because we don't have to navigate anything ourselves anymore. So that ability is waning a lot, and it's leading to a third eye issue. So what might be a wonderful activity, and this full moon in Libra video is kind of turning into a little bit of a third eye channeling. Why not get a map yourself and navigate your own trip instead of relying on Google Maps? That might be a great activity for opening up the third eye. Seeing how easy that is for you, seeing how hard that is for you, it would be a good way to test where your third eye is at. Also, having a directional sense. Okay, knowing where north, west, east, and south is. Most of us have no clue. I'm not really sure, actually, where I'm standing, which way is which, totally. So a lot of us have no clue. And that's part of, again, Jupiter, Neptune, and Pisces. It's very it's in stasis. In the video, in the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction video, I talked about stasis, and I talked about motionlessness, and I talked about kind of being suspended in this kind of oceanic energy. And it needs to be offset with a healthy third eye, okay? And this full moon in Libra is just such a good chance for that, because it's disconnected enough, it's detached enough from that transit, and it's all about data and measurement that we can start to make some headway there. It might also be good to look back at other times of your life where things were lighter or things were simpler to navigate, and understand why, okay? And we're getting pretty crazy there, because we're realizing, oh wow, I had trauma so close to that period of time, or I thought that at that period of time things were so bad for me, when in reality it's wow, look at how light and airy things were in a way too. And we are called during this time, and this is the positive side of Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, and the full moon in Libra helping that positive manifestation is combining the wisdom and strength and power that we now have after going through the Jupiter-Pluto-Saturn conjunction, and then in 2020, and then the Jupiter-Saturn in Aquarius in 2021. That heaviness, but also empowerment or connection to deeper earth energy that we now have, but for some people is now a weight of the world on their shoulders that's kind of weighing them down. That needs to now be combined with what we learned about lightness or airiness before 2020. And this is going to help us alchemize and really be strong, okay, in the post-2020 era. All right, so full moon in Libra, specifically tying it back to the content of this video, this period of time, April 16th, really until like May 1 or May 2 when we get new moon in Taurus, okay, is going to be about strengthening the third eye. It's going to be about getting busy for some of us. And I've got to, how can I say this? I almost just rawly channeled through like really perfecting or doing it right or doing stuff not perfectly, because you can't do anything perfectly, but gosh darn near perfectly doing stuff, okay, so that we can lighten up, okay, so jobs done well, okay, services done well, assignments, tasks, exercises done well, in conjunction with lightening the load or pulling back or automating certain things, okay, alongside etching out time for third eye health, for connection to you, your ancestors, your lifeline. And all of this is going to create a better recipe that will really give us the result that we need, I think. But it does just seem to me going into this transit that the current ingredients or the current recipe is a bit of a struggle for a lot of people. Not everyone. I've actually been seeing quite a few people who are also doing wonderful during this time. But just collectively, there is a kind of something off or something that's not maybe as attractive or doesn't taste quite as good as it used to or doesn't like give us the same pleasurable kind of impression that it used to. So this is definitely the time where I would see certain things getting old. I would definitely be starting to see like, this would be the chapter in a lot of people's like professional life, for example, where they are really tired of that same career, or they're really, also there could be like relationships becoming stale with this. Staleness, okay, is the negative expression of the current energy that we're in. But that's good to see also because, you know, we can start to create or facilitate things that are fresh. It feels so wonderful to have fresh things now. Fresh foods, fresh ingredients, fresh expression. On the other side of this, in a more positive expression, this is a fresh new lifestyle for some people. This is a new album or a new book started for some people in a completely new genre or completely like transcended or evolved. More so than new, I want to say evolved, because we're just not going to have brand new things with Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. I mean, yeah, we can have like a brand new car or a brand new house. There are people getting that. But as for like that completely, like people getting brand new houses probably aren't like the first time home buyers. You know, it's that type of thing. Like they've had houses before, like it's a new thing for them, but it's not a totally new, like, you know, experience. It's hard for things to be brand new, but you can have a great evolution, or you can start to plan a great evolution, and it's going to start in a very small way. Okay, it's going to start in a very kind of condensed, like meditative or balance oriented, like balancing your budget. You understand how you want to evolve, or writing a few sentences of that, I don't know, free write or brainstorm. You have the thesis for like an incredible new book. That's how I'm seeing a lot of people in that place right now too, which is beautiful to see. And that well-developed third eye chakra is going to really be the contingent factor, because I'm also seeing people, okay, in those same exact places, not realizing that they had just stumbled onto the best thesis in the world, but it is there nonetheless, and they're still going to have it later. They're going to be able to go back to it. It's not a matter of loss with this, but it's also easy to just zoom past or be so kind of like out of it that you don't even realize like the incredible idea that you just had or the incredible innovation you just created. And it's there, but you didn't even really click that it was what it was. So we want it to be that primary thing. We want it to really be creating it and realizing that it has been created. Okay. Connecting that together and then having it. Okay, so with that, I'm going to leave you all for today. Nice little half-hour discussion on the full moon in Libra of 2022. I hope you're all doing really well, and be sure to check out my Patreon page below if you want bonus content. I do weekly tea chats, and I do some awesome premium content over there. So that will be linked below, and definitely check out the Jupiter-Neptune conjunct in Pisces video, which will be linked below. I think it was one of the best ones in a while. And thank you all so much for dropping by. Subscribe if you're new to the channel as well, and hit that thumbs up. Let me know if you enjoyed the video with a comment below. I will talk to you all soon. Have a great full moon. Bye.